But we can start, let's just start by doing some introductions. If you guys can introduce yourselves, we'll pass a mic along because we don't have that many. And just tell us a little bit about what you're doing in your respective community to address your homelessness issue. And then afterwards, I'll ask some questions, and then we'll get some community questions if that's okay with everyone. So we'll start with Nico over there at that end.
Just ask if you would stand up when you speak rather than stay seated. Can you stand up? Thank you.
Oh, hello, testing. Hi folks, my name is Nico. I'm with the city of Hermosa Beach. We're about 5 miles south of LAX. Small community, about 20,000 residents, 1.4 square miles. Let me just say thank you for having us here today. We're a small city. When you think of homelessness, you might not think of Hermosa Beach. But seeing all you in this room today is really what needs to be happening, having these dialogues, bringing together concerned and engaged residents, and engaged service providers in one room. I think that's very important, so kudos to you. We're also looking to Pacific Palisades for the work you all have done. We don't communicate too much. You're in our eyesight, and we admire the work your community has been doing. You know, clearly, homelessness is a growing issue in our cities, in our region, in our counties. It's a national issue. With a small police department like our own, it's especially taxing on our city services, our city administration, and our police department, because when you have a call for a homeless individual who's passed out on the street or having a mental flare-up, that takes 1, 2, maybe 3 officers. That's our daytime officer staffing. And it costs a lot of money. It sends our officers taking these individuals to the hospital. It's very taxing, very demanding. Additionally, with an active downtown and a very large tourist population, you have a lot of complaints from residents and our businesses. In an attempt to be business friendly and responsive to our community concerns, there's an added level of pressure on us to deliver. I'm very proud of our city council in that they understand that this isn't an issue we can just arrest ourselves out of. We can't simply push these poor individuals to the place of least resistance. You really need to take a holistic approach at addressing homelessness and ask yourself, aside from what is Hermosa Beach in the business of providing, but what that we're doing is really working towards a solution to end homelessness, right? And part of that is acknowledging that a regional issue begets a regional approach. So I'm proud of our council and understanding that we need to take a comprehensive, holistic look at how we deal with these individuals and how we walk that balance between our residents, our business community, our visitors, and those individuals that need our support. Those individuals that need our support the most, because ultimately, like the gentleman said, they are residents as well, whether our residents like it or not. These are folks that, in Hermosa Beach, let me give you a quick snapshot of what our homeless population is.
Just one more minute.
Sure. Okay. One more minute?
Yeah.
Okay. We've got one of the lowest per capita homeless populations in the South Bay. But because we're such a small city, it seems like we have, a lot of folks in our downtown. We've got 17 folks that are chronically homeless in our downtown. Some of the strategies I think we'll go into a little deeper, a little farther when we have some Q&A. But I guess I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's just be a little brief in the introduction, and then we'll get a little bit deeper in a few minutes.
Thanks, Stephanie, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marque, and I am here today representing the South Bay City's Council of Governments. And the South Bay Cities Council of Governments is a joint powers authority. It is made up of the 16 cities of the South Bay, in addition to the County of Los Angeles. And the organization serves as a regional advocacy organization and seeks to improve the quality of life of our region by working on issues such as transportation, environmental issues, and economic development. Homelessness is actually a new issue that the COG is working on, and we are currently involved with a new program with PATH, our wonderful service provider, and you'll hear from Meredith Berkson next. But it became apparent to the South Bay cities that a regional approach was needed. With the increase in homelessness, they were seeing the issue becoming more visible, and they were noticing that people experiencing homelessness were moving from city to city. And so certainly a regional approach was necessary, and our executive director, Jackie Bacharach, who some of you may know, she approached our supervisor, Don Kanavi, and they also worked with Supervisor Marque Ridley Thomas, and they secured an additional $600,000 in funding dedicated to the South Bay, aside from the homeless initiative the county is undertaking. And it is to fund a new outreach program, and it's modeled after a very successful program in the Gateway Cities COG down in the Southeast County area. And so Meredith Berkson is here with us today, and she'll tell you more about the program, but it's already seeing some great progress, and we thank you for inviting us to be here today.
Great. And why don't you just introduce yourself, but let's talk about the program after everybody's introduced themselves.
Sure. I'm Meredith Berkson with PATH, People Assisting the Homeless, and I oversee both of the COG programs that Jennifer mentioned. So I oversee the Gateway Cities Council of Governments program, which is in Southeast Los Angeles. It's been around since 2012. And also the South Bay Cities Council of Governments program, which just got off the ground in end of February in the 16 cities in the South Bay.
All right, I'm Jim Latta. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I work with the city of Beverly Hills, and I probably wear about 20 hats, but the hat I love the most is working with our chronically ill homeless folks, and we've made some pretty good progress the past few years, and I'm happy to tell you about that.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jay Scott. I was the recently formed Malibu Task Force on Homelessness, along with Pamela, Ulich here, and Joan and Bert Ross, Reverend Elder, and Renee Caswan. It forms our task force. A little bit of history about the homeless situation in Malibu is we've got a population that on the city limit sign says 13,000. I received from Latta this morning the results of the count for our area that was done in January. And according to their count, we have 161 homeless. A year and a half ago, Carol Moss set up, called together a grassroots group called CART. We've been working with the homeless for the past year and a half. The task force spun off from CART, and with the specific goal in mind to bring in a service provider. That service provider is OPCC. We've signed a letter of commitment with them, and we're doing quite well in our major donation campaign right this minute. We plan to reach our goal here in the next month or so and get OPCC started.
Hi, I'm Pamela Conley-Ulich. We also have Matt DiNicola, who's here, who's part of the task force, so I wanted to mention that. So we are here because we were inspired by you, really Stephanie and Marianne and all of you, and we hope to emulate you with the OPCC contract, which the letter of intent was signed about a month ago, and hopefully they'll be up and running soon. So we look forward to reporting back with you I think the number one thing is, I want to know how Kanabe gave the South Bay City 600,000. I learned a lot today. I actually ran for supervisor and lost to Sheila Cool. But we will be looking forward to learning about that, because I do think it needs to be collaboration where we can emulate each other in our successes and really approach this with all of us. I think the mayor's office said to Garcetti's, it's going to take a village, it's going to take all of us doing what we can. And so we're just honored to be here, and thank you for really inspiring us.
Thank you for all of that. I'm Mariam Czar. I'm the, now you all know, outgoing chair of the Pacific Palisades Task Force on Homelessness. The incoming president is Doug, whom I introduced earlier. And I'm thrilled to be able to gather you all here so we can talk about everything. Malibu, I have a question. Last year, you guys did the count last year, right? Didn't you have like 12?
Well, that's
Right, so I'm just saying, homelessness does seem to be on the rise, and is Kim Clary here? I do believe we got our results back today. Would you like to share them, or would you like to save it for another day?
No, I'd like to say a couple things. I got the results here as well. We have.
So just today, what a big day for us here.
194 homeless in Palisades.
So according to the LASA sort of formula, we have 194.
192, excuse me.
192. We did not actually count 192, correct? And our outreach team that's out there every day scouring the streets presumably will interact with that 192. But so you guys are at 161.
What's your overall population now?
30,000?
I thought it was 27,000.
Okay, so
We have more.
your percentage, you're a little over your 10%.
Okay.
Anybody else down here? Okay.
You have the highest percentage.
Okay. So I think we pretty much know what the Pacific Palisades is doing and what Malibu is helping to do too, in a very like system. I think one of the differences that we didn't talk about between a lot of the cities here is the size of the city. Malibu is huge. If anybody's ever driven down PCH, you would know that. So there are a lot of places to be homeless in Malibu, which is important in noting how many people are there and where they are. So, thank you to you guys for starting to address that. So I want to talk about some of the strategies first. I think we're familiar with what the strategy is here, but I really want to hear from Beverly Hills and the South Bay cities as well, and Hermosa Beach, so that we can start to talk about how we can work together to build upon those strategies so that we are in sync with each other along the coast, and then also in some of our more dense cities like Beverly Hills and the city of LA. So we'll start with Jim, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. So, a couple of things. My perspective is working with the chronically mentally ill homeless.
Mike.
I hear you.
Okay, a little closer. So from that perspective, we've had a program for about 8 years, and we have, at the time when we started, there's 50 people living in our city, and we have probably 300-400 every week passing through who are transients. And so we were able to help those who wanted the help, and that was, it was pretty easy. And then we knocked it down to about 30 individuals, and that's where we stalled. We had really good services, and we had 2 social workers, myself included, and the police force. But we had no way of triaging all the people going through. Our folks who were chronically mentally ill, they were too ill to want to get off the street. And then we had all the people passing through. And we were kind of at a stall. And so I did some homework, and we looked at what other downtown areas are doing across the nation, and we came up with what's called an ambassador program. An ambassador program, there's about 130 ambassador programs across the nation in downtown areas, and they're all funded by business improvement districts. And the business improvement districts, they fund them because they're getting complained about the homeless and all that too. So it works for them. And these are all unarmed individuals. They specialize in customer service. And so we took that and talked to council, and council said, okay, we're willing to do a pilot program. And we had to collaborate, we had to get all the stakeholders, we had to get the businesses on board, we had to tell them, look, we're not gonna get any complaints, because the business used to call the police, and the police would come and say, well, you know, I can arrest them, I can't hospitalize them, I can't do anything, sorry, you know? And that's a waste of resources. And so, or they'd call me, and by the time I'd get out there, because I work in City Hall, the person would be gone, you know? So, the ambassador services, they patrol, we have almost 2 million square feet of city parking lots. So at night, they patrol our parking lots, and before we did that, the word was out in LA County that you could sleep in our parking lots because no one patrols them. So we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars every year cleaning up the parking lots because of camping and people using the stairway and what have you. So we cleared the parking lots, customer service for tourists coming in, and about 18% of what the ambassadors do is they do safety checks. They identify people that are either living in the community, and we talk to them, we offer help. We have really good services. We have beds at PATH. We have vouchers through PATH and a couple other different organizations. And so for those who want services, we're really able to help. Now, where the ambassadors made a big difference, and this is, I think, part of the conversation for chronically mentally ill, that population living on the street is costing the county, the city, everyone a fortune. And, you know, it's between $80,000 and $100,000 a year to keep them, to manage that homelessness on the street. It's not helping them, it's just managing them. And that means paramedics taken to the hospital discharging, going to a mental health hospital, being discharged, police picking up. That's all managing. It's not, that's a crisis mode that's wasting all of our taxpayers' money and not helping people. So what I want to talk about real quickly is recently the LA County itself started what's called an AOT program, Assisted Outpatient Treatment Program. And Nevada County started this first, and they showed a huge improvement in reducing hospitalization, jail time, and getting people off the street. Now, I think we've had it for about 6 or 9 months now, and we've been able to get 12 people in the program. And the qualifications are that you have mental illness, you have a police history, and you will die in the street if you're unable to take care of yourself. And so those are the people that we've been targeting with. We identify them, and once they're identified and they meet the qualifications for the LA County Mental Health Team, they come out for 6 months, they talk to that person, and they make sure that this person is deteriorating without help. And after 6 months, if they don't voluntarily take treatment, then we'll petition the court, and the court will mandate treatment. And that maybe doesn't sound like the most civil liberty thing to do, but it's wonderful because in my experience, those individuals die on the street. That's what happens. So I will leave it at that. The best article I've seen in a long time came out in Atlanta this morning. It's called How to Fix a Broken Mental Health System. And I encourage you to read it. I'll leave it, and it's really, really wonderful. Thank you.
She'll post it on. Who are your ambassadors? I'm sorry,
They're paid. Yeah. Our ambassador, it's a paid team, and they work 21 out of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, and now, you know, we used to have just about all of our homeless folks were living in the garages, and so now the garages are secured, so there's no issues. We never arrest or, you know, the quality of life crimes, that's the last thing we want to do. We offer services. And if someone doesn't want services, they either need to move on or get arrested. And that's all we can do. And that's fine for those folks who are opportunists, but for those who are mentally ill and can't help themselves, it's nice to have the OT.
Jim, we're going to do questions at the end. Some combination of Jennifer and Meredith would be good. I'm going to sit down because I want to take notes, so excuse me.
Thanks, Stephanie, and I'd like to turn it over to Meredith to talk about the strategies that are working with this new program. But just a note on the funding, I want to clarify that it is a pilot program. It's for 1 year. And in terms of this other cities, a strategy that's working in Redondo Beach is that they are augmenting the program by putting in additional funds to have a contract with PATH separate from the South Bay Cities contract, because obviously it's a large area of the South Bay, the 16 cities, so I just wanted to mention.
You're already doing that too, so we'll have to get a meeting with Molly.
So I just wanted to clarify on that point. So I'll turn it over to Meredith.
Thank you. So I mentioned two programs that we're running in the two COGs in the southeast or south region of LA County. And essentially our goal is to do regional street outreach similar to what OPCC is doing here. So going out, engaging folks where they are, whether that's in, can I go out? Whether that's in front of a business, in a riverbed, on the beach, on the pier, in a busy commercial district, wherever people are experiencing homelessness, our goal is to go out and contact them, to introduce ourselves, engage them in services, and ultimately to help them move off the streets and into permanent homes. I mentioned that our South Bay COG program started in February of this year, and we have essentially two teams of two individuals who are out canvassing the area. So we have two outreach workers. They're our sort of Navigator 2 level, which means that they have experience doing this work, that they've done outreach before. And then we have two additional staff. One is an outreach worker / benefits specialist. So they essentially are working to engage individuals who are unable, who have zero income or maybe have very low income through general relief, and to connect them to mainstream benefits like SSI, veterans benefits, general relief if they don't have it, CalWorks, CalFresh. And then we also have a outreach specialist, outreach mental health specialist, who's essentially going out and really working to engage those folks who are severely mentally ill, who require the number of contacts and touches necessary to really get them to not only be willing to work with us but also to allow us to help them sort of navigate the system. And we're lucky enough to have a vehicle that we can transport clients to their appointments. So mental health appointments that maybe in the past our individuals we would have made the appointment, they never would have gone, right? We can actually take them and sit with them in waiting rooms and make sure that they're able to access the necessary services. SB 82 was also mentioned, and that's a provider that we work with very closely, and we work very closely with Department of Mental Health, because some folks really are not able to even, aren't necessarily willing to go with us to a clinic, and so we really want to be able to make the mental health services field-based and bring them to the individuals that we're serving. So as Jennifer mentioned, these are regional programs, and we really find that regional homelessness is a regional issue, and that's been echoed right throughout the day, and that in addition to it being a regional issue, it's an issue that can't be solved just by homeless service providers. So organizations like PATH, organizations like OPCC, we can do a lot, but we can't do it alone. And so what we really value is partnership with cities, with law enforcement, with the faith-based community in each of these cities, with business community stakeholders, that we all need to sort of work together and mobilize to address this issue. And one way that we've been able to do that, which is a successful strategy in the South Bay COG and also that we've done in the Gateway Cities region, is to have an actual hotline. I was going to hand these out, but I think it might be confusing given that this hotline number is just for the South Bay Cities region, so it wouldn't work up here. But essentially, this is something that we hand out to people in the community, whether they're experiencing homelessness or they're a business owner or they're a councilman. We give this out so that people, can use this essentially to call our hotline when they see someone that's experiencing homelessness, who, rather than calling, for example, law enforcement, that they can call us and that we can go out and assess them and engage them in services, rather than going to enforcement first. And in addition to that, we found that this is also a great strategy for people in the South Bay and in this room and this community, obviously have a heart for this work, for helping people who are experiencing homelessness. And so, rather than giving someone who is panhandling, for example, or asking for help outside of Starbucks, you can give our hotline number, which is, a way to link that person to services that won't just sort of mandate their homelessness, but will ultimately lead to engagement and permanent housing. A few other strategies I just want to mention is, one thing that was talked about is this sort of hospital revolving door, jail revolving door, and a strategy that we found has been very helpful is actually stationing one of our people, one of our outreach workers at Harbor UCLA. So Harbor UCLA, huge county hospital in the South Bay region, has upwards of more than 10 individuals definitely cycling through the ER on a regular basis. They have 40 people who they know right now are extreme frequent utilizers of the emergency room and psychiatric emergency department at Harbor UCLA. So we're actually there twice a month, and we're looking to increase that to be there on a weekly basis to really engage folks and try to prevent that revolving door of people going into the emergency room, being discharged back into homelessness, and showing up there 2 days later. That's extremely costly, and it doesn't do anything to really to end their, that person's homelessness. And just one other thing I want to mention is that the lack of affordable housing is a huge issue and has been brought up, and there are a lot of great things that are happening to increase affordable housing stock and permanent supportive housing in LA County. One of the things that we're doing, and very similarly it's being echoed by the housing authorities, by the county initiative and the city initiative, is to really value and engage landlords in a way that we never have before. So we are treating landlords as donors to our programs, essentially. If they are willing to partner with us and accept a rental subsidy to house one of our individuals, not only do we really try to bend over backwards to ensure that they're happy with the case management that's being provided and the ability to link directly with clients if there are issues that come up, but also to have a full-time person dedicated to be able to just field landlord calls and do landlord engagement. And that's something that PATH is hoping to bring to the South Bay cities. We don't have that currently, but it is an effective strategy to have a landlord engagement dedicated staff person who can do engagement, retention, make sure landlords are kept happy, because we really can't begin to tackle the problem until we have the affordable housing stock to do it and the units to do it. That was long. I will.
What's the name of what is the actual name of the 600 million earmark? What is the actual name?
Why don't you guys talk about that offline? Maybe you guys can talk about it after. Okay, so it can definitely be talked about after. Nico, why don't you talk about your strategies a little bit more in depth, and then we can talk about some ways that we can work together and then go to the rest of questions the rest of the time.
Sure. Hermosa Beach, we're really excited about our partnership with Pat, and I know we've already started to see some of those benefits. I think a big aha moment that we had at the city of Hermosa Beach was realizing that not, because our police officers are on the front line and they are really our ambassadors to our homeless, whether we like it or not, it's, every interaction, the face of homeless services in our city can't come only from our police. So a big thing was identifying somebody at City Hall, somebody on the city management team that could kind of streamline or lead the educational arm of the city to the community in terms of what our goals were, what our issues, what issues we're having, what the needs were at the local level for the homeless population. A big part of that was, ensuring that we weren't duplicating anything. I mean, we're not a homeless service provider at the local level, so it was identifying who those stakeholders were, who those engaged residents were, who those helpful nonprofits and local agencies were, what resources were available to those individuals that were within our borders, and ensuring that we were on the same page. Making sure that nonprofits that were collecting items for donations maybe did it all out of our community services building so that our residents knew where to drop off things and jackets for the winter months. If folks were giving, coordinating Thanksgiving meals for the homeless, that we had those permitted and that our police department knew where they were happening so that we had officers on staff to assist when ultimately you do have conflicts or issues with some of the people down there. And a big part of the education component was educating our residents, our businesses, having them understand, listen, I'm sorry these people smell and they make you feel uncomfortable, but it's a real issue and it's not going away. This is what we can, and these are the services that we have available. So we had an outreach team go out and door to door to each one of our businesses downtown and hand out these bags with a bunch of materials related to city ordinances, from our smoking ban to our plastic bag ban, but also what resources we have through PATH and the LA County, what numbers to call, who to dial at City Hall instead of just flooding the inbox of one of our captains, and figure, and even a card with numbers for our VIPs, our volunteers in policing, which have been really helpful for identifying individuals in the community that need our assistance. Additionally, I'd encourage all cities to, even if it's only a few $1,000s, to allocate some form of discretionary fund for those individuals who are just, a broken down car away from being homeless, or one doctor's visit away from being homeless. A lot of homeless individuals that were in our city because we are a safe city, that are living in their cars, lost their jobs because they couldn't get to work, and they were living in their cars. And we found one. I spent some time on my lunch break trying to fix his clutch with him. I'm not a mechanic, right? But we do have a mechanic on staff. We do have a public works yard, and it was only about $500 standing between him and not being able to make his job commitment. So that's where we got some of the funds. But it's little incremental strategies like that, and again, all revolving around public education. And then identifying from these short-term strategies, what are some of our long-term goals at council level for really addressing the issue, not just applying Band-Aid solutions.
Thank you, Nico.
What I was going to say was that here in the Palisades, we've covered a lot of ground, but one thing that we've just begun to talk about is educating, right? Educating the public and having some sort of a campaign that sort of helps everyone identify a better way or an effective way to interface with our homeless population. So I was going to ask, it sounds like you guys have a little bit of that, Nico. It sounds like you have a little bit. I'm definitely working on it, and I know that Beverly Hills actually had signage. I think one of the ones that we printed and shared in one of our leadership committee meetings months ago was a Beverly Hills sign that said change, something like
positive change, not strange.
Exactly. So do either of you want to talk about that component? When we formed the task force, we had like 5 areas we said we were going to work on. One was the count, one was best practices, it was outreach, and one was
Government relations.
Right, it was government relations, and then it was PR and sort of messaging to the community. We went down every other path, but messaging to the community is something that I think we're probably going to really work on in earnest going forward. So it'd be great to hear from you guys about what you've done and what's worked.
They're getting money to do whatever they need to do, and they don't need a place, and they don't need whatever it is the service that we have. So I have learned myself not to give money anytime to anyone or food, any of that. But I do offer services. We have service cards where you can get food and anything you can imagine. That actually, it has all of our services, and so that I think as an individual, that's a good thing that you can do. Give someone the knowledge. Don't give them $10, because honestly, giving them $10 or whatever, that makes you feel good, and it feels like, oh, I solved the problem. But it enables that person just to stay there and keep doing what they're doing.
Has the signage worked? Like, have people heeded the signage about real change versus fair change? Like, has that helped the community not give to panhandlers?
Well, we've been able to place those in many of our businesses, and Beverly Hills is unique because we have an aggressive panhandling ordinance, and you cannot aggressively panhandle from 15 feet away from your dining room. If you're sitting here and someone's standing over with their hand open, that's an issue. And so that's something that we enforce, and also address the panhandling issue, follow, impede, raise your voice, and intimidate. And again, it's very difficult because it's something that police have to observe. Most people don't want to file a complaint. So the answer is, again, just don't give money. Give a card. If you're serious about getting help, and it's funny when you pull out this card, they're like, I don't want the card. But for those that are really interested, we talk about the service and what they can do and where they need to go.
CC and PATH alike do a lot of canvassing for available housing in already existing housing and then different types of housing. Yeah, I think that some cities are doing that too. If Jim, you want to?
Well, I actually have kind of an outline. So one of the hats I wear in the city of Beverly Hills is we're dealing with our municipal codes related to tenant landlord law. So right now, so right now we're hearing all the complaints from the tenants and the landlords, and I've heard from a lot of landlords that they would be willing to take subsidized housing if. And these are passionate people who really care, but when they hit their limit, they've done everything they can, they don't want to spend 6 months evicting the person. They want whoever's organizing that to say, okay, we'll move them today, and then they will find the housing. So I think that's the solution if you want to buy in landlords. It's a difficult process, but that would get a lot of landlords on board.
Can we ask the mayor's office to say something about the tiny houses?
Yeah, I was going to say something about the motel.
Melissa.
Because,
The city of LA is really embracing the motel model on a number of fronts, and at the budget signing that happened last week, the mayor had mentioned that part of our effort to reach our goal on veterans is converting motel units, and 500 of those is what we're working on converting right now, but it's also going on in the law enforcement engagement front. And I was just in a meeting with LAPD and the LA Housing Authority where we were talking about what do you do when you're in law enforcement and you're engaging with these individuals on the street and you know they need somewhere to go, but half the time it's at 3 a.m. and the shelters aren't open. And we're looking to motels as the model of that. I mean, we're in the beginning stages, but that's definitely the avenue that we're going on a number of fronts, including law enforcement, including veterans, et cetera. And what do you want to know about tiny houses? Yes. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. I forget the term. Does anyone know the term?
That's the city of LA that's looking at it, right? So maybe some of the takeaway from this is maybe working with Marque and the task force, the two main groups in the area, to work with your contract or the city to talk about these things further. These are things that are of importance.
But I agree, nuisance motels are in a discussion beyond LA City right now. I'm hearing a lot of movement there.
Okay. She's
the city of Los Angeles.
We have time for 2 more questions, so we'll go Chris and Matt.
So my question is, we don't have Santa Monica here, so is that an important ingredient? I would assume it is in terms of collaboration, and how do we do that?
Yes,
I was going to go see Santa Monica and Mayor.
we can help with that. However, we're working on it. Matt?
I'll just speak quickly. I'm Brian with the city of Santa Monica. So we're doing some exciting things related to service prioritization and coordinating with the city of LA and the county of Los Angeles with their comprehensive plans. So as someone mentioned, I think Molly mentioned the 18 policy summits. So we were active in those, and yeah, we continue to partner with our first responders in developing permanent solutions out of that.
Hey, hiding over there. Okay, Matt's actually in front of Brian. And this is going to be our last question.
I guess I just had a basic question. Looking at the number of homeless in Malibu and Palisades, it doesn't seem like a large amount of people. What's the cost per homeless person to get them? I guess there's so many numbers being thrown out, like $3 billion bond, I mean, $35 million. It seems like a lot of money. What is the cost to fix or at least get the situation under control? Because it seems like a lot of money. I mean, the guy who runs a couple businesses, I mean, it's not small chains, 35 million, 40 million, you know.
Maybe some combination of Melissa and Jim could, Jim, I feel like you know the answer to that.
I don't know if I know the answer, but what came to my mind is that as soon as you house whoever it is, there's 46,000 plus people homeless in LA County. So at least where we are, there's 88 cities in LA County. There are constantly people moving through. And just yesterday, we hospitalized someone, 2 days ago, who got forwardly psychotic and lit this area on fire. And then they called and said, the business wanted us to remove all the stuff. And when we went, I said, there's nothing there. It burned, it's gone. And actually, in 48 hours, a new guy had moved in there and put his stuff. So, I mean, that person got replaced. And that's going to continue happening until all 46,000 are housed. So I don't think I answered your question.
Melissa's going to finish up. Do you have an answer?
Well, the one thing I would add is that there's been enough data collected now, and the numbers are in, that it is very expensive to leave people on the streets.